Well, this is it. This is the last lecture of the semester. Didn't exactly go the way we wanted it. It's so hard not to see your faces. My jokes fall on deaf ears. There's no feedback whatsoever. It's been what it has been, and we've done the best we can. I've done the best I can. This morning I want to wrap it up. This is not a required lecture. This is a summary, ideally a bit of a summary of what you've learned. I want to pull back how we started. My promise to you is that I will let you know how I did that magic trick at the beginning of the year. That's your tease that'll get you through the rest of this lecture. And throughout the semester, at least while we were together, had a number of you asked me what I believe, that I teach what others believe. I try and get them across with some enthusiasm and amazement and respect, and it's a good question. What do I believe? It has not been an issue. This class is not about what you should believe. It was a class that looked at belief. But I'll give you some insights into what I do believe that you're not being tested on. So for those of you interested, you'll find it in this lecture. Notice I'm wearing this shirt, so you know, is my favorite color. Of all the shirts, if you go to larryterkel.com, the picture that comes up will have me in this shirt. My favorite color, the color of the surf in the Bahamas. There was a place on Paradise Island called the Yoga Retreat that I went to every Christmas vacation. Took the family there for like 15 straight years. Just the water, the beach, the yoga on the beach, the not too expensive, at least it wasn't. It was great. And this is my favorite color, so it makes me happy. What I want to do is go back. We started this class with a list of mysteries. You gave me the list, the mysteries. You gave me the list. You were great. I've taken 6 of those mysteries, and I promised you that as we went through this class, we would look to see how each of the 5 major religions we have looked at answer these questions. So I've pulled out 6 of your questions. Let's look at them. Who are we? Who are we? So I'm going to put letters over here. The H is for Hinduism. In Hinduism, we are the Atman. Our essence is a soul, a divine soul. The question in Hinduism, is it divinity itself? Is it Brahman? Is it separate but related? Are they totally different? But that level of consciousness found inside of us in Hinduism was called Atman. In Buddhism, I'll put a B here for Buddhism, we are conscious beings. It's our consciousness that the Buddha honors, that our consciousness that gets reincarnated. In Hinduism, it's the Atman that gets reincarnated. It's that consciousness. There's no Atman in Buddhism. It's consciousness. We are developing consciousness. In Judaism, we are souls in bodies. Souls in bodies made in the image of the divine. The primary teaching in Judaism. In Christianity, put a C for Christianity, basically the same. We have a soul. We're in a body. And for Islam, again the same. You will find as we go through, there will be differences. But remember, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are actually related religions. They all share that Abrahamic tradition of monotheism. They are the Abrahamic religions. If there's nothing else you get out of this class, I want you to remember that and know that. Who are we? Why are we here? Why are we here? For Hindus, we are here to evolve and merge the Atman through mistakes, through reincarnation, through until we get it right. That theory of evolution. Our souls are evolving and will ultimately merge back into the ocean of divinity. Merge with that realm of the gods and goddesses. In effect, becoming one ourselves. This is part of the philosophy of Hinduism and the theory of evolution in samsara. For Buddhists, it is to evolve. There is this evolution in Buddhism, but the Buddha was unclear as to where enlightenment takes you. There's no God in Buddhism. It's the ultimate refinement of consciousness. Refining it even to the point, remember those 31 levels, refining it even to the point of formlessness. It's an amazing kind of vision. This is the Buddha's teachings. In Judaism, we're actually here to repair the world. The word in Hebrew, tikkun olam. Tikkun olam. We are in partnership with God. We are here to help carry out God's creation and to repair the imperfections, the injustices, to be a light, to write the teaching of Judaism as the chosen people to lead the world to righteousness. This is the idea behind Judaism. Christianity? For Christianity, it really is to overcome sin. Overcome the original sin. Remember that concept that we're basically damaged goods from the garden. We're here to overcome sin and be saved, washed of sin. prepared for heaven. We'll get to that in a moment. What's next? This is one of the core teachings of Christianity. One of the core teachings of Paul and Augustine. Why are we here for Islam? To submit to the will of God. Remember that Islam comes from the word to submit, to surrender, as well as peace. To submit to the will of God. That's why we're here. The rest is up to God. Why do we suffer? Why is there suffering in this world? Whose bad joke is this? Why do we suffer? For Hindus, we suffer from our actions. This is the whole teaching of karma. Our actions. Karma meant action. Our behavior. Our mistakes. We learn from them. But it brings us suffering. In Buddhism, why do we suffer? Remember? For him, it's desire. Our desires get us into trouble. Desire fuels the karmic elevator. Desire fuels behavior. Actually fuels thought, which fuels behavior. The Buddha, that religious psychologist, tracks it back to the emotion, tracks it back to desire. Why do we suffer in Judaism? It's an interesting one. On one level, it's God's wisdom, but on another level, it's God's parental love. For Jews, it's evidence of God's love. Parents that love us challenge us, even punish us, because it's for our own good. Parents that are too easy, teachers that are too easy, we don't learn from. It's God's parental love that creates the suffering. This is God's wisdom playing out in this world. It's God's parental love. In Christianity can't get away from the sin. We suffer because we sin. We saw sometimes it really annoys me when someone like Pat Robertson will get on television and say that the earthquake in Haiti is because of their sinful sexuality, or that AIDS is God's punishment for homosexuality. I don't know what I don't go there. But that's where a lot of Christianity does. It's focused on it a little. It's really what you've learned. For Islam, we suffer. It's the will of God. Why? Ideally, God's wisdom. It's God's will. We submit to God's will. God must will the suffering. Teaching in Islam. Why do we suffer? I'll get to what I think in a moment. Come back. Where are we going next? For Hindus, we are going to a better next life. Remember, for Hindus, it is an evolution. It is, if you're an untouchable this life and you do your duty, you will get to a better one. It's a better next life. In Buddhism, it's a next life. It's both about samsara. In Buddhism, it's basically the next life up or down. Could go both ways, remember? In Judaism is not as clear about this. Within Judaism, the Torah doesn't spend time on even heaven or hell. In Judaism, there is an upper garden. If there's a vision of heaven, it is the return to what is called Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden. There is some reincarnation. In Judaism, especially in the mystical branch. And there is something called Olam Haba, the world to come. The world to come, that Gan Eden. For some, it's even just living on in the memories of the people you leave behind. That's how you live. You move on. The reputation you leave, the memories you leave. In Christianity, it is clear. In Christianity, there is judgment, and there is heaven or hell. Judgment Day is coming. Heaven or hell determined by your beliefs, your faith in Jesus. Heaven or hell in Christianity. And in Islam, clearly the same. There's a judgment. There's heaven and hell. Don't forget some of the same teachings. How did it start? How did it start? In Hinduism, there is this amazing description of a cosmic expansion, literally. An expanding and contracting universe on the order of billions of years. Really close to Big Bang Theory. An expanding world, an expanding consciousness. The cosmic expansion. And it will contract. These are part of the teachings in the Vedas. In Buddhism, the Buddha doesn't care. He didn't care. He didn't dwell on how it all got started. If you asked him, remember that question, if you asked the Buddha, he would say, I only teach what I've experienced. Even though he could remember back to all those lives, he really didn't spend any time on how it all got started. Didn't care. Clearly, in Judaism, God's creation, in Judaism, I wouldn't say that it's I wouldn't say that all Jews believe in the 6-day, what's that, plus seventh, the 6-day creation story. Many do. Most see it allegorically. Remember, in Judaism, you're allowed to struggle, you're allowed to wrestle, you're allowed to reinterpret. You are called to reinterpret the teachings in light of what you're learning today. So that creation story isn't quite as set in stone. We have exactly the same creation story in Christianity, with some really holding fast to it. Some evangelicals and fundamentalists trying to teach it in our schools, in spite of the scientific evidence. They hold on to it. And in Islam, it's the same. It's the same. The Adam and Eve story is in Islam as well. Slightly different interpretations. For Christianity, that original sin. For Judaism, it is banishment from the garden, but to help him repair the rest of the world. In Islam, God forgives and Adam becomes the first prophet. Different takes on exactly the same story, but the same story. One of the biggest questions we asked: why do bad things happen to good people? In Hinduism, it's karma. Karma propped up by samsara, by reincarnation, the plug, probably from a past life. Can't escape the karmic consequences. It's karma. In Buddhism, it's exactly the same. Karma samsara. And be careful, because you can go the other way. Reincarnation helps to give us a model for understanding that apparent paradox of bad things happening to good people. In Judaism, it goes back to that parental love. Somehow, some way, God's wisdom is molding us. Perhaps he thinks the good people can handle it. Or he's challenging them to interpret it. All that persecution in Judaism, how do they keep going? All the anti-Semitism. They've had a totally different take the whole time. God loves us so much. He has chosen us to be an example, to overcome suffering, to overcome even injustice, even when it happens to us. God's love. That's what suffering's all about in Judaism. In Christianity, it's lack of faith. 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 It must be evidence of doubt. Must be evidence of sin. That it must be that someone doesn't truly believe. One of the takes in Christianity. Just tough to get away from those core teachings of sin and original sin, and how the only way out, the way to be saved, is through faith in Jesus Christ. The teaching of Christianity. In Islam, it's God's will. Who knows? Only God knows. They leave it in God's hands, as if to say there must be a reason. God knows it. We don't. Submit. Islam. That's what you learned in this course. Kind of some one-word summaries, catchphrases, teachings. They're different. Different people believe different things. And now's the time, perhaps, to learn what your professor thinks. I'm going to call it L. L for Larry. Who are we? Who are we? I think we're magical. I think we're magical beings. We're more than just a body. More than just a mind. Yeah, some of these as well. We are magical. I am not my thoughts. I have thoughts. I am not this body. I have a body. I try and take care of both. That we had questions throughout. Who's in charge? Does anger take charge, or do you take charge? Who is that in there? Who are you really? Can you tap into it? This is part of what I tap into every day that I meditate, which is every day. Tapping in, getting beyond the thoughts, getting beyond the body, getting to the magic. It's who we are. It's who each and know how amazing you are. Remember that. Remember you have that ability to not only exist, but know you exist. You have the ability to remember that you're amazing. That you're one of the amazing ones. Find that. Remember that. Hold on to that. You deserve that. We are magical. Why are we here? So, my take on this, I'm going to play the Buddha for a moment and simply say I go with what I know, what I've experienced, as I look around. The three obvious things we're here for. We're here to learn. Every day you spend in your body, you will learn something. You will learn something new. You know more today than you knew yesterday. You know more than you knew 5 years ago. You will learn every day. This is part of the program here. Sometimes it's kicking and suffering. Sometimes this relates to why do we suffer? Because it's the way we learn the best. We don't remember the joy. boy, we remember the suffering. Learning is the curriculum here. Fight it and you're swimming upstream. Remember that teaching on harmony. Embrace the learning. Here at Kent and every day of your life. Embrace the learning. Turn mistakes into teachings. We're here to learn. We're also here to love. To love ourselves. It's the first challenge. We've learned, we saw that in a number of incidents. In the enemies of happiness. In the matrix of human consciousness. Matrix of human reactions to each other. We have to love ourselves. If you don't love yourself, this is a recipe for unhappiness. You don't get to go to the administration and get a new roommate. You're stuck with who you are. You need to find love there. You can't just look for your love by requiring someone else to love you. That love is borrowed. That happiness is borrowed. It depends on their love for you. Swami Satchidananda called that business. Own your love. Give it to yourself. Make everyone else in your life a bonus. Be okay with who you are. Connects to the magic. And then there's the bad news. The bad news, I always hate to break it to my classes. You're here to work. You're here to work. Let's turn it into service. Serve others. Help reduce suffering in this world. Choose a right livelihood. Find the service in whatever work you do. It's where the meaning is. If you work on an assembly line and make automobiles, you're providing transportation. People can drive to get pleasure. People can drive to the hospital. It's a service. Help other people get what they need. Turn your work into a service, whether it's a server in a restaurant, a mechanic. It's full of serve someone, help someone. Help yourself, help your families. You're going to have to work here. You're going to have to pull your own weight and someone else along with you. These are the three things. No matter what else we've studied, these three I know. Look around. Look at your life. We're here to learn. Love is what we really want. Go for it. You have to work anyway. Try and enjoy it. I gave you that formula for harmony and work. What you are good at, what you love doing, and what someone else needs. Put those together while you serve someone else. Enjoy it while you do it. Whistle while you work. Come on. You got to do it anyway. We want to find the harmony in all of these. Clearly, there may be more reasons we're here. These three I know. These three I try and do the best I can with. You swim upstream, you'll get tired, the river will win. Flow with it, embrace these. Embrace these in your life. Swim with the river. Find the harmony in all three. That's why we're here. For sure. Why do we suffer? Why do we suffer? Look, one is that there's more going on than meets the eye. More going on than we realize. Biggest element of that is the learning. This is the bad news. There's a saying. There's a saying that comes out of the East. It's a powerful saying. I opened my meditation book with it. When the student is ready, the master appears. Perhaps you're familiar with it. The trap in the saying is that everyone's waiting for the master to appear. When the student is ready, the master appears. The pill that will help you lose weight, the spouse, the perfect person that will complete your life, the doctor that can cure you of all your ills, the snake oil, the magic potion, the religious doctrine, the secret, the faith, everyone's waiting for the master, the lottery winning. It's not the teaching of the saying. The key word is not master appearing. The wisdom in the saying is the word ready. When the student is ready, the master appears. There are two basic ways to get ready. Two basic ways. One is positive. You can listen to these teachings and think, yes, my life is good but can even be better. I'm going to go for it. I want to experience even more. I'm willing to change. I have to tell you the bad news. Most people don't do it that way. It would be great if they did. It would be great if we were ready. Jesus tried to call people to be ready for the kingdom of God, to change their ways. Most didn't. But the bad news is that the most popular way to get ready is suffering. We don't change till we've suffered enough. We wait till we hit rock bottom to make the changes we knew we had to make. We don't quit smoking cigarettes. We don't quit drinking. We until we've hit, till we've suffered enough. What's the difference? There's a Buddhist saying about draw a silk scarf over a rock. Just draw it over the rock once every 100 years. Draw it over the rock. Eventually, that was an interesting analogy, but if you have billions of years to hang around in, there will be a last pull. The scarf will make it through the rock. And there will be a last pull where the rock parts. And you ask yourself, what is the difference between the last pull and the second last pull? What is the difference between the last cigarette and the second last cigarette? And the answer is, it wasn't quite enough. We didn't suffer enough. One more, and it was ready. Readiness. We're too stubborn. Suffering is what it takes to learn. It's related to the learning. We're just too stubborn to learn any other way. Hence the suffering. Where are we going next? Put the Larry mark here. Where are we going next? Hey, I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist. I'm going to give you my answer. My answer is somewhere. I think we're going somewhere. My experience tells me, I just wrote, there's more going on than meets the eye. Every day that I sit and meditate, I channel that beingness beyond my thoughts and beyond my body. I feel like I'm more than this. And it feels like it will go on. I may be wrong. I'm somewhere. I'm not going to tell you where. I don't believe anyone that's had the descriptions. I'm sorry. They're all possible. Life on another planet's possible. In another totally different fourth dimension is possible. It's all possible. Nothingness is one of the possibilities. I think we're going somewhere. I just do. I think there's a reason. I don't think the world would go to this much trouble to get into my thick skull the teachings that it has taught me to go nowhere. It's where faith comes, not belief. Belief would say, you know what it is. Faith is that letting go. Faith is that inner trust. I think there's a reason. I don't know it. I'll know it when I get there. I'm okay with it. Somewhere. How did it start? I'm kind of with the Buddha on that one. I'm big on a divine Big Bang. Not about to ignore the science. Divine means mystery to me. That mysterious Big Bang. Fascinating. Amazed by it. Probably more behind it than meets the eye. I don't spend a lot of time on it. Why do bad things happen to good people? So now I have a take on this. I call the world a do happening. A do happening. Here's the deal with this model. There is some stuff we do, and we reap the consequences. Look, karma theory is about our behavior. Actions have consequences. Do we get away with some of them? Do we get caught by others? Is it samsara? I'm not going there. Some stuff we do and it has consequences. Bad habits in life lead to illness and disease. We do things that create problems, even though we're all otherwise good people. What we do matters. But I'm not a hard karma theorist. There's like hard karma and soft karma, I call it. Hard karma is when every single action is this mathematical balance of everything has a consequence. And you can trace the cause and effect into everything, just like they try and do for an airplane accident. What bolt wasn't tightened enough on the engine that it vibrated loose? That's hard karma theory. When I think I told that story, maybe I didn't. There's a book called Out on a Limb. Shirley MacLaine, the actress, wrote a book about her spiritual practices and beliefs, and she's basically talking about karma theory, and they're going. She's going with a group to visit her shaman in South America, and they're driving through the Andes Mountains, and there's an accident, and if I told this, I'm sorry, I'm telling it again, but the school bus is turned over, and it's kind of a disaster scene. And children are injured, and her car drives right by, and someone in the car, one of the students, asks Shirley, "What do you make of that?" And very self-righteously, my interpretation, she answers, "It's their karma." As if, because if you subscribe to a hard karma theory, if you subscribe to the fact that everything you do ultimately has created the suffering, that it's all a balancing act, then you don't have to have compassion for anyone. Well, it's their karma. This is part of the self-righteousness of thinking your religion is the only way. Someone else is suffering because they're not a member of the right club. But here's the deal. Soft karma basically says, my take, some stuff happens in life. It's not everything we do. Stuff happens. Put another word that starts with an S in there. I'm not going to put it on tape. I might have said it in class. Stuff happens. It's part of what we signed up for. Part of it. This takes me to a powerful teaching. A teaching that has helped me in life. A teaching that it is part of the way in which I see life. It's original. I'll qualify it up front. It's what my meditations teach me. You see, I'm going to actually switch to another page here so I have more room to work. If you see the world as full of sin, full of sinners, then you will feel surrounded by sin. S-U-R-O-U-N. You'll be surrounded by sin. You'll see it everywhere. It's one of the problems of a police officer. All they really see are bad guys. The world's full of bad guys. It's hard to see the good guys when that's all you're surrounded with. If you see the world as a karmic prison, you'll feel trapped. Remember that question, how to get out? You'll feel trapped. You see the world as, this is the world column. This is your you column. How you'll feel. If you see the world as full of enemies, remember the 4 enemies of happiness, competitors, full of competitors. You're competing in a dog-eat-dog world. This is how people see the world. You will find yourself frustrated, angry, right out of the Buddha. If you see the world as different from you, different skin color, different gender, different race, different bodies, different religions. We have a way of making things different. If you see the world as different, you will feel isolated. We're all the same. Sometimes I think those differences are a cosmic joke. What do we do with them? You gotta see through them. Remember those 3 reasons we're here. We're all here to learn. This is a distraction. It's not real. We're all the same. We're all in this together. There is a difference between alone and lonely. We're all alone. We're all individuals. This goes back to the need to love yourself. Lonely is when you need someone else to distract you from yourself because you don't like being alone. Lonely is when you don't like the company you keep. Don't fall for the differences. Look, this world is not just. It is easy to feel, like a victim, victimized. And by the injustices, by your differences, by your disability, by your economic circumstances, by the family you were born in, by the imperfect body you were given, we feel like a victim. We feel like the world is full of victims. The world becomes dangerous. Perhaps these are reversed, I don't know. You'll feel afraid. Wonder what's going to happen next. There's no way to live. Yeah, the world's unfair. Yes, the world's unjust. See through it. Learn from it. Help prepare it. But here's my take. This is a way to redefine yourself and the world. And that's to see the world full of volunteers. have this teaching, this play between a victim and a volunteer. If you're a victim, you think it fell on you haphazardly. If you're a volunteer, you know you signed up for it. There are many reasons why we volunteer. Let me give you some evidence first. I think we're all volunteers. We want to be here. We have that will to survive, that instinct for survival. You can take the poorest person on this planet, hold their head underwater, and they will strive to get back to the surface and their miserable life. We want to be here. The evidence seems obvious to me. We want to be here. We volunteer for a number of reasons. A, we want to do it. B, perhaps we think no one else can do it as well. So we raise our hands for this life. Not because we thought it would be perfect. We knew where we were going. It wasn't perfect. This world is not about perfection. It's not Disneyland. It's a challenging place, full of earthquakes and tornadoes. Stuff happens here. That's part of the do happening. We submit to that. We volunteer for that. We think we can handle it. Here's the problem with this world. Sometimes we do. We get more than we wanted to handle, that's for sure. Do we get more than we can handle? Sometimes. Sometimes we volunteer because we don't want someone else to have to do it. Volunteer to take the dangerous mission in your military outfit. You volunteer to do the difficult. It's a challenge you give yourself. It's a challenge you volunteer for. You think, I'll be better if I do it. I'll learn from it as I do it. I'll be able to take pride in the accomplishment of it. There are many reasons we volunteer. I see them all at work here. I lost a 12-year-old nephew. I think I told you he's on my committee. My sister's son. Battled cancer for 5 of his 12 years. You see, if I see him as a volunteer, when he would say to my sister, it'll be okay, he's a hero. Volunteers are heroes. Everyone that's come here is a hero in a tough place. Not perfect. We volunteer for the injustice so we can make it better. We volunteer for the body we've got. Maybe so someone else wouldn't have it. Maybe because you'll be able to work with it. You're challenged by it. There is a difference between seeing yourself as a victim and seeing yourself as a volunteer. I suggest, this is the cup half full, this is the cup half empty. Even when bad things happen, like pandemics, what is this? Is this a karmic consequence for the whole world? That's a take. It's part of where we volunteered to come. The world is a minefield. We're trying to dodge the mines. Can we dodge them all? Eventually one of them will get us. We're not going to get out of here alive. Make yourself a hero. See yourself as a volunteer. This is one of the ways to find that self-love. Give yourself credit. Be one of the peaceful warriors. Be a servant. Serve others. Volunteer for that. Volunteer for the learning. Volunteer for the love. Say, I'll take it. Try it. Even when you get burnt, try it again. It's a question. Do you see yourself as a victim, or do you see yourself as a volunteer? This will put yourself in better light for yourself. Remember one of the teachings of the class. How can we turn on those spiritual inner lights? Light of wisdom, clarity, perspective. The light of love. Can you let it glow? The light of faith. Without knowing, but trusting. Trusting that this place is worth it. That your life is worth it. That the experiences you have volunteered for will be amazing. It's a big change. It's a different way of seeing the world. It's what I see in each and every one of you. As you have your life ahead of you. You have learned many things in this class. I'd like to say the class is not as much about religion as about your individual life. The life you choose to live, and you're just coming out of the gate. You're still preparing. That's what Kent State is all about. I hope you've had some valuable teachings. I hope you'll remember some of them when the mysteries show up at your door. I hope they help. I promised you something. I promised you that if you made it through this class, I would tell you how I did that magic trick. You know, you can't make a ball out of a cube. I can't. There is no good way to make this look round unless I hollow out the inside. That second ball, that black one, as I pull it around, I hide it inside the ball. The second time, I punch it out while I'm fumbling, so that when I pull it apart, it'll pop up into the cube. And it leaves the black ball in the sand. And of course, there had to be a red ball in my pocket. This one you probably knew. If you remember nothing else in this class, there's more going on than meets the eye. Remember that, smile at that. Don't think you know everything. Leave room for the mystery. Amazement. Cultivate the amazement. Go through this life with a smile and and an outlook of amazement. It's been a pleasure. I only wish we had had more personal interaction. I missed you all, the second half of the class. For those of you that have embraced it, I've enriched my life. I hope I've enriched yours a little. Stay safe in this pandemic we're dealing with. Come back strong. It's an uncomfortable asana. Find the smiles anyway. Find your families. Find yourself. Good luck for your journey at Kent State. Good luck in your journey in life. Enjoy that journey. Smile. Blessings to all. I bow to each and every one of you. Thank you.